3, 2, 1. Sorry, it's summer.
Okay,
All right.
Michelle?
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order it's 6:04 p.m. and I'd like to call to order the Bethlehem Public Library Trustees Board Meeting for July 14th. First point of business is trustee oath of office
Yes.
for Laura DeVetta. Congratulations. So I'll read this out and you answer accordingly, right? So, or no, she reads.
No, you read it.
Sure.
But
Here, and I
technically, there you go.
Okay, all right, so Laura, read after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the office of Bethlehem Public Library Trustee.
the duties of the office of Bethlehem Public Library Trustee. Thank you.
You know, do we both sign?
Yes. We can fill in most of it, but this is driving off for 30 years. And then. Oh. Bye. Now, we'll put the name down.
Am I doing this right?
I gave you that, George, but it doesn't matter. So then you put your name there and then Laura. And Laura signed right below. Her name, the name block. So let's up third line down, like your name,
Here.
both, and then that's yours. That's me. That's it. And then put the up of the office term in there, and we're all set.
Okay, all right, next order of business is election of board officers. The nominating, Sarah's the chair of the nominating committee and she has a slate to present.
So yes, so as the chair of the nominating committee, the slate of officers that we are putting forward for the 25-26 year is Caroline Brancatella as president, Sarah Patterson, vice president, Laura DeVetta, secretary, and Mark Kissinger as UHLS representative.
Are there any questions about the slate? All right, so we'll take I'll need a motion to approve the slate of officers. Gail, and a second. Laura, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries. And now I will pass over the leading of this board meeting to our new president, Caroline Brancatella.
Thanks, Michelle. And just for the benefit of the public, our newest trustee, Jill Adams, is en route, and we will have her take the oath when she gets here. But in the meantime, we have a quorum, so we will continue. And the first order of business is, do we have any public participation? So knowing that we have some, before public participation, we're just going to read this statement, and I think that at every board meeting, we're just going to remind everyone the purpose of public participation. So beginning and ending each library board meeting with public participation is an opportunity for community members to express their thoughts on library operations to the board. Because the purpose of the monthly meeting is to conduct board business, it is not a time for back and forth debate with members of the board. If specific questions are presented during public participation and the relevant information is readily available, the board will make an effort to address the question in the course of the meeting. Otherwise, community members may follow up on any questions by directly contacting the library director or the board via email or speaking to them after the meeting. We will advertise organized opportunities to speak directly with board members. A reminder that all library policies apply at board meetings, including the patron conduct policy and the harassment policy. Public participation, let's go ahead.
This way, that way.
Anywhere you'd like, but this is where the camera and the mic will best catch you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Chris O'Brien. I'm a employee of the Bethlehem Library, but I'm also serving as CSEA president of our local union. I just wanted to reintroduce myself to everyone. I'm sorry to miss Jill. That was kind of what the reinstating the officers for you guys and us was kind of the impetus to come tonight. But I am serving a second 4-year term as union president and with a full slate of officers. So I just wanted to say hello again and say that I'm here and Jeff and I, coordinate together and we coordinate with you when we meet. So just say hello.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the establishment of committees and committee appointments. So our bylaws state that we must have 4 standing committees: personnel, communications. Personnel, finance, building, and nominating. So we will have those 4 committees again this year. I would also like to put it for discussion, the establishment of 3 committees that are not required by the board, by the bylaws, but that the board would likely benefit from. 2 that we have had in the past are a director's evaluation committee and a long-range plan committee. We can establish those tonight, but not populate them as they are not an immediate need. We can add members to those moving forward. And then the last committee that is not required, but that I am proposing that we establish is a communications committee. So, and then the other issue regarding committees is that for the past several years, we have had a policy committee, although that is not required by the bylaws. I am proposing that we do not have a separate policy committee this year, but instead take policies back to the full board. And the reason for that is because there is a significant board interest in the language in the policies, and having a separate committee run through the language has, I think, in many people's opinion, taken away the efficiency of the committee's purpose. Just bringing the language directly to the board for discussion is likely a more efficient approach. So I open those issues up to discussion if anyone has them. Sounds good. Okay, then I need a motion. Should I do all 3 committees at once, or can we do them?
I think you can do
one
it
at a time?
together. It's okay. If that's.
Then I need a motion for the 2025-26 year to establish a communications committee, a long-range planning committee, and a director's evaluation committee.
So moved.
Okay. So we have Sarah, and I'm gonna, for the board's benefit, I'm going to call out these because we have our person doing minutes virtually this year. So Sarah, motion to establish the committees is from Sarah, a second from Michelle. Any further discussion? Vote. All those in favor? Passes.
Well, you.
Oh. You'll have to give me a chance to get used to doing this. Okay, then for our committees, everyone here has indicated interest in certain committees. So I'm just going to read off who I think has an interest in.
I just have a question before you get into that
Yes.
part. Do we need to vote on removing the policy committee? Or is that just?
It just, because it is not required by the bylaws.
Gotcha.
As of July 1st, it technically no longer existed. So we would only have to reestablish it. Okay, so each person based on interest and based where we need people to fit. So I'm proposing a personnel committee of Sarah and Gail, who served dutifully last year. On our new communications committee, Laura, Mark, and Jill, who all expressed interest. On our finance committee, where traditionally we have not had as much interest, we had a lot of interest this year. So I'm proposing Laura, Gail, Mark, and Michelle. For the building committee, which previously was a committee of the full board. It is a standing committee, so we have to have it every year, but given that we have no large construction project going on right now, with the exception of the boiler, which the full board has been engaged in, I'm proposing that we bring the building committee back down to a discrete committee. So I'm proposing that Jill, Sarah, and Gail sit on that committee. And for the nominating committee, Mark and Michelle have expressed interest in that committee. Are there any committees that anyone would like to be involved on that they were not read off for?
Just to reinforce, we can attend committee meetings even if we're not actually on the committee meetings.
Absolutely, and if you leave tonight or at any point you would like to join a committee, please do so. Please let me know and we will add you to the list, but to Michelle's point, everyone is welcome to sit in on everything, so. Okay, do we need a motion for that, Jeff? Okay, then I will send out a list and we will make that public. We have to make that public? We will make that public of everyone who is on each committee. That will be in the next meeting's minutes.
And just to be clear, so with 4 people on the finance committee, we're making those potentially public.
Yes. I think it's a good idea to have 4 on there on the premise that we have some extra and that maybe 4 people will not make every meeting.
So I said Jill popping in, but there's something else, sorry.
Okay. So the next issue is our board annual authorizations. Jeff, tell us about that.
Okay, every year, let's see if I can. Give me a second, we're gonna give ourselves maximum viewing space here. Okay, so every year, the board authorizes certain things. So for instance, you authorize me to work with, and the library in whole, not just Jeff. These attorneys, I was asked this year to put on sort of, these aren't the requirements, but these are kind of generally what we use the different attorneys for. There is we're -1 attorney because the attorney we use for contracts was subsumed under Whiteman, Osterman, Hannon. So that attorney is now a member of another law firm that we already have a relationship with. Our 2 library insurance brokers, the sort of liability insurance and healthcare insurance brokers, our auditors, which is Marvin and Company. The official bank depositories, which has been steady with TD, M&T Key, NBT, Pioneer Bank, and this year we added by policy last month, the Metropolitan Commercial Bank. So this just adds them to those official depositories for library funds. Our official newspapers, which are the Spotlight and the Times Union. The board meeting dates, generally the 2nd Monday of the month, special meetings called as needed. And then some specific authorizations where the treasurer of the board is to verify the payrolls for the library. Petty cash fund of $100 is established. We have to do that every year. The treasurer, account clerk 2, and director are authorized to enter an agreement with TD Bank for electronic transfers of funds between library accounts. And that was effective July 1st, 2015. Just a reauthorization of that. The following payroll related transactions may be transferred electronically. Right now, under our policy, we don't authorize very many electronic payments, but specifically the IRS, New York State Tax and Finance, New York State Deferred Comp are authorized for electronic payment because the IRS requires it. So while it's up to you vote, it's really not much of an option. The board authorizes the payment of sometimes sensitive bills by hand-drawn check between board meetings. These are credit card bills and bills like National Grid. There are certain types of bills which are allowed to be paid off cycle, and we're authorizing those. And then wire transfers between authorized financial institutions. So this is when Sherry wants to move money from a particular bank to another because we're seeking a better rate or a different kind of investment instrument. You're authorizing those. And then Sherry, Tanya, and I are each bonded for $1 million. The staff assistant who prepares the bank deposit is bonded for $35,000, which is, considering we're not collecting fines anymore, way over, but still helpful. And then the messengers who are the mostly the folks from Kevin from the maintenance staff who drives the deposit down to Key Bank. We're bonded for $35,000.
I have a couple of, I guess they're minor.
Yeah.
Although it says sexual harassment, that lawyer is responsible for all harassment
Right.
training track. The list now of what's harassment has been way beyond
Yes.
sexual harassment, so perhaps that can be amended in the
Absolutely.
list.
Yep.
And then is $100 enough for the amount of petty cash? That seems like a very small amount when you look at the list of things that have to be paid and people going to the farmer's market It just seems like $100. Is it enough? Is it really enough or should it be more?
And that's a Tanya Sherry question. What do you, I mean, we
We've never
don't
had any
use.
problems.
We've not really had a problem. When people go to the farmer's market, they really don't need.
I don't know, that's what I'm.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, so the petty cash, we actually use extremely rarely. The library has the purchasing cards for me and certain other key staff. So when we're paying for stuff that might be $100 or something like that, or we have program supplies and we have to run at the last minute to Price Chopper, we're not using petty cash. So it's really this very, for us,
Very
It's-
limited.
it's a very limited
So
amount.
it's fine.
Yeah, that's a good question.
But I had the same question, when was the last time it was increased?
It's
Has
been
it been $100?
It's been $100 since I've been here and I've been here 13 years.
There you go.
But I mean, seriously, we really don't use it that often. Sometimes if, like we have some staff that go to, Nyla, there's some parking fees, like $20. So they'll bring me the receipt, they'll get the $20 back
How often do we have to replenish petty cash?
once a year. When we
There
do-
you go, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had to replenish it every month or every couple of months, then, you know.
It-
I'd
generally
say
when we
need
do
it to be
this,
bigger.
I'll go check the receipts and.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Okay,
So
we need a motion for the authorizations as presented. Laura,
I'll second.
Sarah has a second. Any further discussion? Vote? How do we say
all
that?
in favor?
All those in favor?
Raise your hands or say.
I'll get the hang of
And
it.
Mark, we see you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, next, holidays and closings.
Okay, these are the proposed holidays and closings and Kristen's doing this, we do very well, but I'm always nervous because we never get it. So sometimes it's hard to get correct. But anyway, so these are the 2026 proposed closings. Most of them are pro forma. The ones that are marked in red are contractual. So they are specified in the contract. So we've got Easter Sunday is a closing, the long weekends for Memorial Day, Juneteenth, and then the Sundays in July and August. Independence Day, of course, the 3-day weekend for Labor Day. Sunday hours resume on September 13th after Labor Day. And then Columbus Day, Veterans Day, the board authorizes our closure at 5, the Wednesday before and the Friday after Thanksgiving. And then Staff Development Day, Friday, December 4th. And then we close New Year's Eve. Again, the board has voted in the past, closes at 3 p.m. to make sure that everybody gets home in the light on New Year's Eve.
I feel like I probably said this last year,
Mhm.
and I see it's in red.
Yeah.
But can we say / Indigenous Peoples' Day, or, I don't know, isn't that the federal? I don't know, it's not.
So no, I was actually gonna bring up this point, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. And after this point of discussion, we'll swear in, Joe. I believe that it is still listed as Columbus Day here because that is how it is listed in the union contract.
Right, but
But
could you
that's-
put it in black / I don't know. just
You
for
absolutely can.
public.
What I'm saying is
Public.
you absolutely can call it anything.
For some people, controversial. Is it federally called that now? I'm not sure.
I believe the state.
Might consider that it might.
I don't know that the state
ruffle
changed
feathers.
it unfortunately, but I think federally for now, it's both. Which is not great, but at least to me, it's more inclusive if we do /
I don't see any, my only concern to that, I perfectly understand what my only concern to that is that it's not in line with the union contract, but I think as long as it says Columbus Day, Jeff, we will be fine. Okay. Does anyone have any other discussion on our holidays and closings for 2026? Jeff, anything further?
Not for me, but you do need
A motion?
a motion.
We'd like to make a motion.
I make a motion, we accept the holidays and closing with the addition in parentheses of Indigenous Peoples' Day and Columbus Day.
Motion from Gail, second, Laura? All those in favor? Hands.
Do I get to vote before?
You will in just a second. So welcome, Jill.
Thank you.
We have to swear you in.
Yeah.
Do we have a second? Will you repeat it? Do we have a second one to give her, or are we just gonna do a repeat after me? Okay. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of New York State,
and the Constitution of New York State,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the office of Bethlehem Public Library Trustee.
the duties of the office of Bethlehem Public Library Trustee.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So we have to sign some things. Hang on.
Name.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's good, all good.
Is that right?
I'm gonna send this down to you, Jill. Sign third line down is your signature. And just so you know what happens with these, we send them off to the county clerk where they're registered officially with the Albany County Clerk, and then that's that.
Welcome.
Okay. Issue on the docket. Sorry,
Carolyn, could we just mention for Jill's benefit, because I remember this came up for me when I first started. If we are voting on something and you don't feel 100% comfortable because maybe you're not completely up to date on the issue, you are able to abstain from voting.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, our annual ethics and conflict of interest statement. All board members must annually sign a conflict of interest statement. We're gonna pass that out. Please fill out either now or at some point during the board meeting, and that goes back to you, Jeff.
Thank you.
And this is, I think, a good juncture is that in the interest of full transparency, although I do not believe that there is any financial or policy conflict here, I just wanted to make it publicly known that my husband, Ken Sopris, is an employee of the New York State Department of Education, the New York State Education Department, SED, which is our overseeing body. He works for their government relations team, which means that he has no role in decision-making over any policies or decisions related to the library. I cannot foresee a time or a situation where that would come into conflict, but if it would, we would figure out how one of us would accuse ourselves from that conflict. But like I said, I do not believe it creates a formal conflict that requires disclosure, but I just want to be fully transparent about that. If anyone has any questions or discussion, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or bring it up here. Okay. Our board meeting schedule for 2026.
Okay, so these are the proposed dates for the 2026. Again, we're halfway through 2025, but our proposed dates for next year for the board meetings. Most of them fall on the second Monday, which is the normal time for them to fall, with the exception of October 13th, which is People's Day.
Yeah.
And then that will be the only Tuesday meeting.
My annual question is April 13th, does that conflict with the school spring break?
So, hi, this is Kristen. I did double check. It does not conflict with the school holiday, and I didn't find any conflicts with any of the Jewish holidays.
Great, thank you, Kristen.
Kristen Bobby's voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's somebody's voice from afar. Thank you. So you need to vote on this.
Okay. Make a motion? Michelle, second? Laura, the board meeting schedule for 2026 pass. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to do the vote. All in favor? We'll get it, guys, I promise.
Mark says yes.
Says yes. The board meeting scheduled for 2026 passes. Review of the previous meeting minutes. Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
No, I'll just say that it was nice to see Lisa recognized at the UHLS meeting. It's nice, and it does seem different that she's not here at the table. But it was great that they recognized her in that way. That was wonderful.
And as soon as you know the date, let us know, because I had a few with change.
Choking it out of Upper Hudson is the hardest part of that, but I will endeavor to get it as quick as I can.
Motion to accept the previous meeting
So
minutes. Michelle, second.
I'll second.
Sarah? All those in favor?
Gonna abstain. But I will learn, as I learned, because I tried to do that,
Yes,
it's a different thing here. I know at other boards, but here you can vote on the minutes, or even if you. want to be.
you're allowed to vote on.
I know it's counter to like nonprofit boards, I know.
But we record your abstention. Understood. Okay, next, the financial report. Sherry?
I actually like to draw your attention to the revenue and expense report explanation of variances. This is our sort of a preliminary final report for the year. I say preliminary because we haven't had our audit yet. But as it stands right now, we're showing a surplus of almost $369,000. And I put this together to show, where that surplus is coming from. As you can see, we had some additional pilot revenue coming in, interest rates. We earned more in interest than what I had budgeted because I've been trying to budget very conservatively in case, something blows up and we don't get the returns we expect. In expenses, we are pretty much on target with salaries and benefits. In operations, we're a little under, about 10% under. We had budgeted for some professional fees that we ended up charging to the capital projects fund, so it doesn't appear here. And of course, capital expenditures and contingency, which is about 135,000 budgeted, we only spent 29 or almost 30,000 of that. So that's where the savings is coming from. We do expect a couple of adjustments from the auditors. Usually it's accruals related to payroll and the pension expense. Don't anticipate anything else unusual, because we never know. So I'm projecting that our surplus it'll be a little less than 368,000. It might be, I don't know, 340, somewhere in that range is what I'm thinking. And that amount will be added to the fund balance that I've been reporting all year as being 3.9 million, 3.928. That amount will be added to the fund balance, so the fund balance will grow. In the treasurer's report, where it says fund balance, I think the date is incorrect. It's not as of June 30th, 25, it's as of June 30th, 24, because I haven't added the surplus to it yet, because I don't know what the final number is. I don't want to do that until we know what the final number is. So I think that salaries and benefits ended up being 1.1% under budget. So we've been pretty much right on target with budgeting for salaries and benefits. Hopefully that will continue.
Yeah, I've never brought in a materials budget within $216 on $500,000.
Right.
I just
Right.
don't expect to see that every year, but I just a lot of work goes into that from a lot of people on the staff. So I just want
Right, that was
say
quite,
thank you.
yes, that was also quite unusual. But we did a pretty good job, I think, this year, right? So I don't know if anybody has any questions, or certainly if you want to look at the bill schedule and checks that have been issued this past month. let me just make a comment about the cash and investment summary right there. We did invest 1.1 million in the deposit placement program at Metropolitan Commercial Bank, but you don't see it here yet because it didn't happen until July. It took a little time to get the account set up and there was some paperwork that was needed. So you don't see it here, but the money has been invested. We moved money out of the TD Bank money market account to do that. And the other thing we did was the treasury bill that was like 1.1 million came due at the end of June.
It was like June 26th or
Yeah.
something.
We decided to purchase another T-bill, but for 500,000, just to have a little more diversity. That locks us in at a rate of, I think it was 4.175%. The investment with Metropolitan Commercial Bank will fluctuate a bit. It's going to fluctuate based on what the federal rate is. But it's a really good rate and hopefully it will continue. And at any point in time, if we decide that we're not happy with what the returns are, we can always decide to perhaps buy a CD or buy another T-bill. We'll just be monitoring it to try to make the best decisions we can about investments.
When does the audit happen?
Actually, the auditors will be here Wednesday, this week, for some preliminary work. And then the final work will be done in September.
First week of September, and then they present at the November board meeting.
Between September and October, they're finalizing the report and we have a finance committee, a meeting to review it. And then they come to the board meeting in November to present.
What is the storage fund?
Yeah, so that is a gift fund that was established by the Storage Krakauer family. And they specifically gave money originally for public facing technology for the library. And then their interest has moved a little bit towards supporting young families. So what we're doing with the money right now is purchasing diapers and wipes and those supplies that are in the bathrooms, they're publicly available in the bathrooms. That money is purchased with those supplies are purchased with the storage funds, and those are matched by the Friends. So it was a matching donation. The Friends donate that. They give $1,000 a year, and the Friends give $1,000.
When the fund was created?
Yeah.
Was there a statement of what it was dedicated
It is
for?
complete. No, they
Okay,
gave
so there's
maximum
no reason to document
correct.
the change
more
from
correct.
technology to.
Moral suasion only. No, they were concerned about that and wanted to give the board max control of them. So not wanting to entail, sometimes those
Otherwise
entail
you'd
funds and then it gets the world
And
changes.
you have to have a letter or something to change the direction.
Because it's not that kind of a fund. It's a board established fund, not a endowment. So we track it because the donations keep coming in and the Friends give their $1,000. We keep track of it, but it's not an official.
Any other questions or discussions? Make a motion on the financial report. Laura, any second? Michelle?
Just one last thing, and just to be clear, in this, when we authorize the financial report, you'll see in the minutes when it comes through, their board is authorizing the disbursement of each one of these checks. So we don't, except for the few checks that are authorized by the board to be paid ahead of time, every check that comes through is authorized explicitly by the board once a month, and then Tanya puts them in the mail the next morning. So when we are authorizing the financial report, it includes all of these checks that are listed for payment.
So when you get the agenda ahead of time, and this will be in it, if you have a question, as one of us often do, hey, what is that check? To ask that.
There's also a detailed report, so if you need to see more detail, you can click on the link next to the board packet and you will see the detail of the budget code that it goes to, and what it is, and the address of the payee, and the purchase order number.
Is that worth a blurb in the, deck?
Okay, remind me, who had the motion? Laura?
And I second.
Michelle was second. All those in favor? Motion passes. Personnel report. Jeff, what do you have for us?
Okay, so, we have hired the previously approved to fill librarian one full-time. The only action that I'm requesting you to authorize is, we have Paige resign. They're headed off to their next stage in life. Congratulations. And then, so I'm requesting the ability to fill a 9.8 hour per week Paige position at $15.50 an hour.
Questions or discussion? Motion? Michelle? Laura? All those in favor? The personnel report passes. And before we move on from this point on our agenda, we have one other action that we need to take a vote on. We are passing around a salary adjustment for a certain employee, that employee being Jeff Kirkpatrick. Everyone can take a minute to review that. And if there's any discussion or questions about that, now is the time. And otherwise, take a motion, if you are so inclined. Michelle, a second?
I'll second.
Sarah? All those in favor? Motion passes. Okay, the director's report.
Okay, so, well, we're gonna talk about pilot later. But boiler related to, the new sails have been installed out where we were, unfortunately, we had to cut down a tree, we put in some sails. You'll see the new tree is right next to it. It's gonna be a few years until it starts to cast its own shadow. So the guys came up with an idea to put some sunshades out there because it's one of the most popular and really nicest areas to sit outside on the library grounds. So if you haven't seen that yet, it'll be tonight. It's not so sunny, but go take a look at the sunshades. I think it's really nice. Want to talk a little bit about the book bundles. This is still a thing we do. We started during the pandemic and people still use this. And every time we talk about it, we just talked about it in last week's e-newsletter, and we get a little flurry of book bundles as people who just don't know what to read. They don't know what to read next. They can say, I like these kind of things. And then they can get a librarian curated bundle of either media or books. And I think it's a great service. So we just let's talk about it. Seed library, we gave out over 4,300 seed packets to 732 families this year. So that was cut back a little bit. We condensed the variety because there were some not popular plants. And so we condensed that down a little bit, and then we haven't had the results yet, but we ran a program of make your own salsa kit. So all the onions and peppers and all and tomatoes, and we'll see who has the best salsa. Whose salsa reigns supreme?
My sauce did not work out, but my cherry tomatoes are going strong.
Okay. In any case, ever popular. And then we've had a really good participation. 212 people have signed up as of when I got this report last week for the adult summer reading. So that's always exciting to see. Sometimes it's harder for us to get that going, but we're happy to see that cooking along. This year's theme is Color Our World. And so the prizes for the adult summer reading program are each based on a different color. So you can see some of the colors there for the adult summer reading program prizes. Thank you to the Friends of Bethlehem Public Library for sponsoring the prizes for those. Competitive puzzling continues to be very popular, including a picture of that as a steady audience. Any kind of craft program, the paint night, also popular. The empowered caregiver, again, smaller attendance, but very appreciated by the folks who were there. And just a bunch of other great programs. I will call out the Spanish Conversation Club. We've been doing the French Conversation Club for a while, so we tried to run it with Spanish. It's very informal, but again, they have steady use on those programs. So door count, wireless use, computer signups, and study room sessions saw year-over-year increases, and this would indicate to us that patrons are continuing to return to using the physical library. So, so that door count is that because we're at the end of our fiscal year. So we're happy to see that. It still continues to, to grow post-pandemic, our physical in use of the library. And that several of the American Girl dolls went out to the doll hospital and returned ready for summer. So they are back. There were some clothing refreshes that happened and some doll refreshes. So very popular. They're all back. As far as the children's department is concerned, the Make Your Own Popsicle program, 100 or the popsicle sticks, so 104 people attended that drop-in program. The Best Magic Show, we had 136 people out on the green for that. The launch of the summer reading program, and it was a great program. At Little Vikings, everybody likes to be a Viking. Make a cardboard shield. And movement and music continues to be very popular. We did summer sessions on this. The art story times that happen normally through the school year are very, very static. During the summer, we open those up and move them around a little bit in the summer because we have to do programs for children of all ages, more programs during the day for children of all ages. We can't focus only on the preschool kids. But sensory playtime continues to see an increasing use. And then some other story times, fantastic. I want to say that we had great attendance at Bethlehem Pride Fest. Staff went down there and held the booth. We had stickers, bubbles, talked about the library. We did Pride themed library cards and had 15 new patrons, updated 25 accounts. Come on, it was great. 543 people were down there interacting with our staff at that event. So we will continue to do that. Very well attended. And then you'll see the last of the middle school, and there was a lot of outreach in June as the school wraps up to start talk about summer reading, what the library has to offer throughout the summer for kids, so we can kind of get them excited. So it's just a listing of all the outreach. Went to Eagle Elementary Field Day, other school outreaches. So lots of great outreach this month. And then Thursdays in the Park have started up. Those are sponsored by the library, Parks Department, Friends of the Library, and the Friends of the Parks Department. So it's a 4-organization collaboration on the Thursdays in the Park. So those are continue to be very helpful. We'll talk about that during the Friends update. Thank you again for all of you who are going to attend the UHLS celebration. It was wonderful. And then just a little note about IMLS funds. I know this was a little bit of a flurry of conversation about IMLS funds. We received notice from the state librarian that they have received their 2025 allocation of IMLS funds. So no change for the 2025 calendar year. Sorry, I apologize. Institute of Museum and Library Services is the federal agency that oversees libraries and museums in the United States. It has been, there were some thoughts that the funding that had been released might be recalled by the federal government. That did not happen. So they were able to fund the state for their amount. What will happen next year is unclear. And what New York State does with those funds is they take the federal funds and they hire staff at the Division of Library Development at the New York State Library to help us do lots of things. And if that funding dries up, there will be downstream impacts to the library. But this got out into I just wanted to mention it because it got out into the public that the funds weren't going to be available, and people were thinking, oh, we're not going to have books or programs or something like that. That's not the way the funds work, but there would be some downstream impacts, but it's not necessarily direct service. End of the year numbers, I think maybe next month would be a good time to do a wrap up for some of the statistics, but we saw our circulation was essentially flat again. I have two numbers that are closer between 656.62 and 656.459. So we were slightly down in our circulation year over year, but really flat. But lots of good increases again, particularly in e-materials use, e-books, a lot in e-audio, and some of our other streaming services database use was up significantly. So that's good to see.
I know there has been a question in the past about having programs that are not library related in the library. I just wanted to point out that in the adult programming, when you start talking about things like the art programs or the meeting programs, research demonstrates that for people like me who are well past retirement, that keeps your cognition up. It keeps you thinking, particularly things where you have to measure and look at spaces and put them together. And also because of the isolation of many retired people, it's developing library community. So looks like it's not related to cognition and understanding, it's directly related to that. So I wanted to make that point. Was Jester Gym one of the programs on Thursdays in the park? I'm trying to remember what day I went to.
Yes, I'm gonna go out and say,
Okay, so the library presence was very low. The summer reading club was mentioned, but the personnel was not really visible, only on what they were wearing. But I'm wondering if you could talk to maybe the town about the shared programs, about having a library banner or something that more directly communicates that the library is part of the program as well as the town. The program was introduced by someone at the town who mentioned the summer reading program and that the library was a partner, but that was like the extent. So I wouldn't want much more than that, but at the same time, if there was a banner, if there was something small visible that might help the community understand that you're not just in the building.
got it.
Just to kind of relate to the previous comment about the programs for older adults, I'll just pass along that just in talking to some community members, just in general, there's a feeling, at least among some, that there isn't much in this community in general for older, the older population in terms of programming and things to do. And I mean, I feel like we do things, but I'm just passing along that feedback for the, not just for the library, but for the town. I mean, we were talking about the library, but just, that's a segment of the population that maybe doesn't feel like there's as much happening for them. So something to.
And my last comment is with ebooks, we have an amazing guy who looks at the statistics. Can you look at what part of the community the borrowing is happening from? We've had several discussions about people who don't live in Delmar and who are in the outlying communities. Going forward, if it's possible, it would be nice to know, like, I actually do both. Sometimes I have the ebook, the hardcover and the audiobook because you never know what I'm going to be doing, and that way I keep moving forward. But it would be good to be able to take a look at that, because I suspect that a lot of those outlying communities are electronically reaching us. If it's possible.
I'll see what
I
we
mean,
can
I
get,
don't
because
know.
we have to anonymize the data, so
Yeah, I know you
we'll
do.
take
I
a
know
peek,
you do. Although I'm happy to have you talk about it.
Any other questions on the director's report? Okay, UHLS report. Our new UHLS representative is Mark Kissinger, and I don't think he has had an opportunity to attend a meeting yet, but I'll let him say whatever update he may have.
That is correct. I've not had the opportunity to attend a meeting, so I don't have anything to report yet.
Well, we look forward to you representing the Bethlehem Library with the Upper Hudson Board.
When is the next meeting?
They have not told me. So
August, yeah, it'll be in August. Oh, no, they skipped their August meeting. It'll be September, Mark.
September, I think. Yeah, right.
So I will mention here, again, well, it's important that you know. So our catalog, the catalog that you see when you go and search the book, and the app that is related to that catalog are going to switch. Our vendor of our software is going to switch. The current catalog will be available. So we have to move to a program called Vega. You don't need to remember what it's called, but it will be how people search the catalog. And then any of you really love the Upper Hudson app, there will be a new app that will have to get trashed and downloaded. We'll be putting out information as soon as we get that from Upper Hudson, but that is something that's coming. So that's a lot of the focus at Upper Hudson right now is working on getting that.
So when that happens, we'll be doing social media blasts, the footnotes.
Well, yes,
Email.
and here's the deal. The current app that we have expires on the 31st of July. So
Okay.
we have a window to talk about that. But the new one's not yet ready to go, so we can't. We will launch
We
out
don't
as
want
much as we can, given the window that we've got. For people using the catalog, they're gonna approach the catalog through the website and it'll look a little bit different, but it is totally usable catalog. That's not the problem. It will be the app people that, when the app just stops working, have to try to get.
Is this Libby or is this?
It's the Upper Hudson, the book app, the just searching for books, just the regular searching for books and movies and that kind of stuff. So these things just roll along.
Okay, so we're gonna have to download a new app and we're gonna let them know.
There you go.
Okay. We are adding a new bullet that has not previously been on the agenda for the Friends report. For the benefit of the public, the Friends of the Bethlehem Public Library is a separate legal organization that was established with the purpose of raising funds and contributing to the efforts of the Bethlehem Public Library. This board, the board of the library, has no authority to tell the Friends what to do. They choose what to do. They have their own governing documents. They have their own board meetings. But because their purpose has to do with the library, we would like to make an effort to increase communications with them and continue to build the relationship. So Jill Adams, our newest board member, has generously offered to be the Friends liaison. So what that will mean is that Jill will attend each Friends board meeting and hear what their concerns are and can communicate on behalf of the board if they have any questions. And we'll just continue to build that relationship. They're under new management per se. Jeremy, how long was Jeremy president?
More than a decade.
For more than a decade, he has moved on. And Mary Service is going to be their new president. We look forward to working with her. And to start off the year, the Friends have generously donated the funds for a new fish tank in the children's section to the tune of what, about $8,500?
Their part would be 6,000.
Okay, their part would be $6,000. And do you want to tell us a little bit about the fish tank, Jeff?
Oh, we have an agenda item.
We do have
Do
an
it now,
agenda
we
item.
can wait for a fish tank
We
later.
will talk about the fish tank
Okay.
later. But we look forward to building our relationship with the Friends and getting that report every month, if there is one. So thank you very much.
So one of the things that happened at the last meeting, they reported, they started a book sale May of 2018. They had a very modest, small book sale. They raised $1,000 in 2018. Last, in May of 2025, the last book sale, they raised over $8,000. So that is just a steady progress in the money that they make in each of those book sales. So kind of impressive.
Okay, on to new business. We have a presentation on our boiler project.
We do. So just want to grab a chair and just. come on up, or
Sure, yeah, I
you
can drive if that works.
We will. All in.
Hello, haven't met most of you. I'm Mike Stroker. I'm a mechanical engineer at CSRH. Very happy to talk about this project. I actually went to Bethlehem and graduated. I have many fond memories of being here at the library, so it's a little surreal for me to present about this boiler replacement project, but happy to do it. So what I have in front of you is our current drawings that will be finalized and brought to SED for permit review. And see if I can
Rolling down.
a little slower than sorry. It's okay. So this is just a overall cover sheet. It has in the top right our list of drawings, a site map to give the contractor an understanding of where building is that the project's taking place. Can you?
Yeah, what do you need?
Zoom out a little bit?
Yes.
Thank you. All right,
First of all, we're gonna move. Give you access to the wheel.
That helps a lot.
And then
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna shrink this down a little bit for you,
Great.
and then hopefully that's all yours.
Okay, so this is our architectural general sheet, just defining what our symbols mean. And I'm not gonna go into too much detail on that because I'm not an architect, as I mentioned before. Oops, now I'm going too quick. And then here we have a overall floor plan with the mechanical room highlighted, indicating where the boiler is being replaced. Next page is our architectural sheet coordinating the scope associated with the removal of the boiler and the flue that's going up through the roof, as well as a new opening for our vent and combustion air intake for the new boiler. And I'm gonna go quick, and then when we get to the mechanical, I can add more detail. Here's our new work scope for the architectural set, showing the new boiler in place, as well as that intake and exhaust through the exterior wall, and the patching of the old flue of the boiler.
Can we ask questions?
Of course, yes, please.
Okay, so the lower right picture,
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly where is the new boiler? Read to it.
So the new boiler is where my cursor is. It's essentially gonna be a replacement in kind in the same footprint of where the old boiler is now.
And where's the new flue? This is the whole boiler room that I'm looking at
Yes.
outline, okay. This is
Yeah.
bigger than I expected, and the boiler is little.
Yeah.
Mhm. So the new flue is gonna go out the sidewall. What I
It had
guess
previously gone through the roof.
it had,
Okay,
yes.
all right, that's enough for me anyway.
Okay, great. And then onto mechanical. So again, this is our general sheet showing all of our symbols, abbreviations, general notes for the contractor. And this is the mechanical sheet. Zoom in a little bit to help out a little bit. So
There's a lot going on. That's
Yeah.
sorry.
it's all good. So here we have the both the demo sheet and the new floor plan. Basically just calling for the removal of the old boiler and the old flue, and make some pipe modifications for the new boiler loop. And so to take a step back, we looked at the size of the boiler and the load of the building, and looked at what the existing rooftop units are serving and what the boiler was serving. And we sized the boiler based on what that existing building load is. And then if there is a potential expansion in the future, be able to help offset some of that. And the old boiler, at the time, it was it's a non-condensing boiler, which at the time was standard practice. Since then, there's been technology advancements, and our proposal is to replace the non-condensing boiler with a condensing boiler. What that means is it's more energy efficient. It will allow the flue gases to condense and basically recover that energy instead of just exhausting it out into the atmosphere. The condensing boilers also have a higher turn down ratio, which means that on a part load day, like in the spring or in the fall, it can ramp down the firing rate of the boiler, so that it's again just not kicking on and off and operating as efficiently as possible.
So more like a dimmer than an on-off, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. The non condensing boilers would just kick on and off the burner,
Which
whereas
takes a
the,
lot of energy.
exactly.
Thanks.
Any other questions? And, okay, so I will keep moving forward. So I mentioned that the, boiler, plant is, up here. So a lot of symbols and abbreviations, I apologize. I'm trying not to get too technical, but basically what I'm trying to show here is that we have a loop of pipes going out to the building and back. And we're gonna have a new boiler with its own pump that the boiler can control, and that way it can just guarantee that it's operating as efficiently as possible. And just, oops. That's pretty much most of the mechanical, or that's pretty much the mechanical scope. Again, placing the boiler, we're putting in a new intake and exhaust through the sidewall instead of going up through the roof. And then the other coordination item that's next is electrical. In order to make these changes, we need to have electrical support, which is these plans here. And basically just showing the disconnect of the old boiler, connection of the new boiler, as well as fire alarm and life safety upgrades to bring the building up to current code. And I'm not gonna go into too much more detail than that because I don't want to speak out of turn.
So you said you were gonna go through the outside walls rather than the roof? Is that something that will be visible from the outside?
It would be visible from the outside. It would be basically to the left and above that double door that's on the front. It would basically just be like a 6-inch by 12-inch.
Like a fire alarm kind of look, or?
It would be more like a white grill or vent is what it would look like. They
Oh,
can
it's just
come
a
in.
vent.
Yes, that's all I'm talking about.
And it opens and closes, correct?
It does, it,
It adjusts, let me change.
there aren't any moving parts to it. The boiler pulls in and relieves air as needed. But it's what's called direct vented, which means that it's connecting the outside to the boiler,
My
and you're not.
question is, when
Okay.
it's below zero here in January, which is common for 3 weeks in January, is the vent going to be blowing that air, allowing that air to come into the boiler room? Or is there something that adjusts to the outside temperature? That's really what I'm asking.
So that is tied into the boiler itself, not the boiler room. So it's bringing in fresh air into the boiler so that the boiler can operate. But that 0-degree air is not getting introduced into the space. It's getting brought through the heat exchanger in the boiler and then going right back out.
Okay,
So the vent, the pipe to the vent is the same size as the pipe essentially.
Yeah, so how the old boiler worked was it had this little like louver in the wall that would bring in like room air. And then exhaust out through the roof. Whereas this one, it takes in the outside air directly into the space, into the boiler, and then with the firing of the burner, it then relieves it out.
And you're removing the old vent to the roof, what happens to the roof?
That would get patched and infilled. And there, we have the hazardous material report that we are putting our drawings together for that. They weren't ready for this presentation, but for the SCD submission, they will be needed for that.
Yeah, there's a asbestos layer
I remember.
in there, so it'll get abated and then.
so initially we were looking at a different kind of heating system. I'm just wondering what you think the longevity of this new boiler is. Are we gonna be looking at a new boiler in, another new boiler in 10 years, or what's the?
So a
What are you
typical,
thinking about that?
a typical expected life of a condensing boiler is like 20 to 30 years.
I don't know.
And,
And the warranty is,
I'd have to get back to you on that. I don't, it depends on the manufacturer. You can always buy extended warranties, but as far as standard warranties, it's on a manufacturer basis.
Okay.
Did I see trenching in there?
Yes, you did see trenching. Thank you. So, one other aspect of the, project is the condensing boilers, they condense, which means that there's water that, goes from a vapor to a liquid, and that ultimately needs to go somewhere. In, many cases, a floor drain. And where the floor drain is in the mechanical room, it's across the double doors, which would present a tripping hazard if we wanted to bring a drain pipe to it. So instead of doing that or adding a pump, which is another maintenance item, we are proposing to trench the floor to relocate the floor drain next to the boiler so that the drain can actually take the condensate without the need of a pump or a trip hazard. Was there anything else that I missed?
No. I just wanted to mention it because it's it was just a that's not standard. Well, I mean, it's standard for you guys, but we talked about it when we were talking about design, that we didn't want a pipe running across our walkway. We have carts that go over all the time, and we need to keep it. It's great. Thank you.
Awesome.
And just for the benefit of the public, I'm going to say, I don't want anyone to get upset with construction drawings or plans, that this is the boiler plan that the board has already authorized to move forward with, and these are the design plans that need to be submitted to SED for New York State in the regulation.
And so probably at our next meeting, already there's a bunch of resolutions, that seeker resolution, authorizing the scope of the project. There will be official votes by this board, authorizing the project to move forward. That will likely happen at the August. Depending on where we are, but it seems like that's going to go there. And our existing contract with, for the last project with Bob Schofield means we can work with him already under the terms of that contract for this project. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
There's no vote required on that, that's just informational, but in the same vein, we have a construction manager proposal for the boiler project. And I know that Jeff has gone back and forth.
I'm just here
Oh,
too.
you're presenting as well?
If you need me to.
Well, CJ, why don't you tell us about why it is useful for us to have a construction manager and what your proposal is?
Sure. Stand.
So go over here.
I'll do whatever you guys tell me. Hi, everybody. I know there's some new people. I'm CJ Goodwin with Schoolhouse Construction. We were the construction managers that helped you guys through the pre-ref process for what was the planned additions and things like that. Jeff had reached out to me maybe a month or so ago, I want to say, letting me know that, hey, you guys want to move forward with the boiler project and that you guys were soliciting proposals for that. I said, when and if you are interested, we can certainly submit a proposal on construction management services. Sorry, excuse me. I was very honest. This is one of those things that probably makes me look worse than it makes me look good. Construction management's labor intensive. And by that, I mean, it's not physical labor, it's somebody being here to monitor what's happening. And so when you do one thing, it gets fairly expensive for us to send somebody here for them to watch one thing happen. It's not very efficient. So I sent you guys a proposal, which I think most of you have seen at this point, which was, I want to say in the range of 30-ish something $1,000 or early 40s. I understand that was not perceived as something you guys want to do. That's totally fine. I'm honestly not even sure that you need construction management for this in the terms of the totality of what we're doing. I think there are certain pieces that would make a lot of sense for you to have a little bit of guidance or someone to ask and answer questions. So what I did after Jeff and I met after that proposal is we kind of talked and I said, listen, I'll do two things. in my first proposal, there was a pre-construction services piece. I think I'd outlined a cost of, I want to say about $6,500. If that's what you guys need to just get through bid, and construction is really what it is at this point, it's the one thing, it's pretty low risk at that point. We'd be happy to do that if it's something you guys want to move forward with. This is me being not good at business. I'm not here to, I've always told Jeff, we're here to do things for a long time. I don't want to do one thing and then everybody gets sour over one. That's not. So if that's what helps the most, we're happy to do that. It's a little harder on us in terms of how that works, just the nature of construction. That's not your problem, that's my problem. But what that would really mean is it would basically be us helping you get from when CS Arch's drawings are done and complete, sort of through the bid process, which I think is what you're the least confident about at this point. And obviously CS Arch would be a big part of that as they go forward as well. And then really at that point, we would recommend what would happen after that. So we would bid, find a contractor, recommend an award at that point. And once you guys were to take action on that, I would kind of step back. I will never, ever disappear. I've told Jeff, if we do this and you guys have questions, call me, and it's not going to be a catastrophe. We've already done a couple of things on an hourly basis. We continue to do that if you call and go, hey, CJ, this just doesn't look right. Can you come and look at this? And that takes an hour. Probably not going to pay you for one. You know what I mean? If it's something that, hey, we feel like we need to have somebody here now, we want to relook at that, we're happy to do that. I've got a plan B if that is to happen. The other part of what I did, and I have to pull this out or I'll forget what I did. But the other piece is I did one that is basically the service I provided originally. I broke it down even more to basically having somebody really by phone call the contractors in the morning, call the contractors at night, just to kind of check in and do that on a daily, semi-daily process. Again, bad business in terms of it's really you paying me not to be here, which is not what we want either. So I'm really in this weird spot where I want to help. I want to do whatever it is you guys need me to do that. But financially, it kind of is a weird spot where for me to have a person here is really expensive. For me to not have a person here is like counterintuitive. So there's a couple of options here. I'm happy to answer any questions. I mean, we're pretty upfront about what things are and what they cost. You won't hurt my feelings if you guys say no. Again, I will happily answer your phone calls. It's not a big deal. I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to let me know if you have questions.
And just to clarify for the board, because I think you referenced the original report, am I correct that that did not go to the original proposal, go to the full board? So I saw a little confusion on someone's face.
Well, I
don't
mean,
know that.
And I think,
I didn't remember exactly, but that doesn't mean it wasn't.
no, I think what I think occurred was that Jeff received the full proposal. We briefly spoke, we understood immediately,
I thought.
basically what you were saying is
Yeah.
that it was significantly more than what we needed and significantly more than what we had anticipated spending. So Jeff immediately just went back and said, hey, we just need these discrete services. Can you repropose that? So that is what CJ is presenting today. And Jeff, do you just want to speak about those discrete services and why
Correct.
you think we need them?
So the experiences we had were, obviously as we were running up to the full project, we had all the switches turned off. It's a massive project, very expensive, and we had all of the pieces in place. We would have needed all of those pieces in place. The last big project that we did before that was an HVAC project in 2018, and we did not have a construction manager. So that was a $900,000 project. We did not have a construction manager on that project, and what ended up happening was that Mary, who was the board president at the time, and myself basically acted in that role to the best of our ability. And I think we would seriously have benefited from construction manager in that particular case because of the details of the HVAC project itself. And we promised ourselves at the time that we wouldn't do that again. A lot of the putting the bid together, we don't, unlike a school district, we don't have a facility. We have a facilities maintenance staff. but we don't have a facilities manager, we don't have anybody, I don't have the expertise of putting that bid together, making sure we're doing it in compliance with state law, and making sure those bids get put out properly. So, it would leave my mind at ease a lot more to have that service here, so we can run up through the bidding, do this pre-construction services. The schoolhouse, we know what that looks like as far as our last project and how helpful that was. So, you know, as we go to look at making a choice of whose bid do we accept, I want to make sure we have all of our vendors with us, our professionals with us, to make sure we can make the best decision. So we don't end up in a sort of similar place with the HVAC.
So the HVAC project, if I heard you correctly, that was a $900,000
Yeah.
project. So a much larger scope than the boiler.
Yeah,
Would working on the, do you anticipate that the bid process will be just as complicated for the boiler as it was for the HVAC?
I think it probably, the documents will be simple. I think that's fair to say. But the process itself doesn't get simpler because of the scope of the project is small. It still has to be done appropriately and properly, make sure that they're sent out in place. One of the things that Schoolhouse can help us do is make sure that it gets in front of the contractors, because sometimes with our projects, it's actually getting someone to bid on our stuff because it's relatively small. So
And if I can add, the bid process is the state mandated process. So that doesn't really change. It could be a $10 million project, it could be a $100,000. Typically, it's very similar. The only thing that can change in that process is there is a threshold monetarily where you don't have to necessarily put things out for multiple contracts. You could do a single contract, which this will be very close to.
I guess my only concern as we move forward is if we are gonna consider these piecemeal projects as we go along. Every time it's this.
CJ, I have a couple of questions. Are there benchmarks with this that we should have you come and verify the work? For example, the venting, they're cutting into a wall of the library. Would we want to include maybe a lump sum so we can call you and say, okay, they're cutting the vent. Can you send someone out to make sure that's done properly? I don't know if this project is worth it, and also, is it worth including something for you to, not you, but whoever comes to take a look at the project before we close it out, to make sure that everything meets specifications?
Yes and no. So I haven't read all those CSR's contracts, but I have a contract with you guys. I read most of it for what I needed. I'm fairly confident knowing that company that they will come and inspect those things because that's part of their service.
Yeah.
So do you need it? Probably not. It would probably be me more of a want sort of thing. But again, that would be a perfect situation of if that takes, if I do 4 of those things and in total that takes 2 hours over those 4 things, then figure out if we get paid for those 2 hours or.
How much do we pay?
That's a great question.
you have an
that I
existing
can't-
contract, I can give you an
It
answer.
doesn't matter.
I
don't know.
I toot my own horn quickly. I got promoted recently, so it's a little bit more. But it's within an $80 to $140-ish an hour range if I put it off the top.
I'm just like a very
They're all good questions. Cautious.
be cautious with, maybe detail of, cutting into a wall of the
Absolutely.
library and then taking something out of the roof. And then immediately says, oh.
And you have a roof that's already sort of suspected had
And
some problems.
Jeff just said there's some asbestos that needs to be abated, so I'm just wondering if we should add contingency, I don't know the right one.
Well, we have,
You could do it all, sorry. go ahead.
Right. No, we have an hourly contract, or we will, so the ability to do that.
That's already covered.
It's not covered under this, but that exists, the ability to do that exists.
And I did add a line item for that. I didn't add any hours because I didn't want to presume either.
Yeah.
But in the fee that shows, which is this one, if you actually read right there, should any assistance be needed following the completion of, got a right there. School Husker will be available at an hour. So, and I think I said in there too, I think we've already provided you guys those hourly rates from, I want to say the January timeframe. Usually every January they update just because everything updates in January in terms of taxes and things like that. So if this were to go into the calendar year, we may or may not update our rates. I don't think we'll make it to January based on what we're saying. One hopes. Yeah, no, you guys want to know as much as you can, I think that's great.
Contracts.
So we have this is under my authorization limit, but unusual enough, I wanted to have the conversation. It's a contract that's affiliated with a more expensive project, so we don't want to barrister this and say, you know, I am recommending that we hire Schoolhouse for the work as described in the contract, but
Do you want a motion?
I really do.
I make a motion. for the Schoolhouse.
Gail, motion?
Under
Second,
the amended contract.
second, Laura? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Thanks, Mark. All right.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. My family's from Rock.
Oh, are they? I am Capital Region, but Eric Rivera, who started the company, founded it. He was a professor at the university. Thanks again, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Okay, next item on the agenda, point to discussion, but no vote, which is the Bethlehem School District Pilot MOA. I'm gonna give a couple points on history and then I'm gonna pitch it over to Jeff. Does that work?
That's fine.
Okay. So there is pilot money available to public entities. Help me if I'm saying it wrong.
No.
Okay. Once upon a time, in the early aughts, the school district went to negotiate for this pilot money.
And pilot money is,
Payment
Say
in lieu
that.
of taxes. And
Go ahead.
so the other thing that happened was they had, so Bethlehem IDA is for us, the organization, or one of the organizations that negotiate these agreements with entities for tax breaks, generally speaking, because they want to attract businesses into the district or to the town. If it's in our school district, it affects us. If it's not, they had an IDA president, chair, who was very smart and said to the library at the time, hey, you've never been in on any of these pilot agreements. This PSEG pilot is going to last for 25 years and is going to be a lot of money. You guys should be in on this as well. And our then director and attorney were then called off to be part of the negotiation.
Yes. Yes. So at that time, at the negotiating table, the school district decided that the negotiation would go better if the school district negotiated on behalf of themselves and themselves only. But then agreed, said, hey, library, we will make you whole. We will enter into an MOU with you to give you a portion of the funds. So that means that you do not have a direct contract for the funds yourself, you have an MOU to get it from us, the school district. And that is what everyone did. So there has been an MOU in place since then. The most recent was updated 3 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, so now we are back to the negotiation table for pilot funds. The school district is going back to the negotiation table, but they have said to us that MOU that we had in place 3 years ago, it is expiring and we are not going to renew that. Meaning we're not going to give you any more money. And Gail had some questions on this that I want to be clear. If you go, there was no official action of the school board that had to be taken because they're not terminating anything. They had a contract and the contract is over. They don't have to do anything for the contract to expire. They're just choosing not to take any action to renew it. So that is where we are, but we are somewhat back to the same place we were 20-25 years ago, which is that we as a library, as a public entity, are still entitled to have a place at the table to negotiate for our own funds. So I think what we're putting up for discussion today is that timeline, where we are, and then it kind of flows into our next bullet point here, is that our attorney, Bob Schofield, I'm sure I can hang, was
Whiteman Ocean.
Hannah, my bad, sorry, was instrumental in the Albany Public Library, negotiating for similar funds. So he has offered to represent us in those negotiations, but there are some caveats there, so I'll pitch that over to Joe.
Okay, so
Before you do that, though,
Yes.
there was a change in the law, though,
correct, so.
Is there?
So in an MOA, typically, if you're entering an agreement, each party is giving something in an agreement. So what the school district was giving to the library was a proportionate share, our budget over their budget, proportionate share of those pilot funds based on the ratio of the library budget to the school, right? That's what they were giving us. What we were giving them was that we agreed to pay back, which we were not required to at the time under the law. We were agreeing to pay back if there was a court judgment that reduced someone's taxes or some action that reduced someone's property taxes. At the time, the library was not required to pay the school district back. The school district would eat those funds for the library, even though the money was handed over. The library said, of course, we'll agree to give back, usually about $4,000 a year over the long-term average in these exerciori, whatever they want to call them, these judgments that reduce people's property taxes. And in return, we got 180 to growing to over $200,000 in pilot funds each year. So definitely a good thing for the library to enter into this. So those were they weren't necessarily balanced, but these were the two things that the organizations were agreeing to. In 2015, the law was changed to require that school district public libraries pay back school districts for their proportionate share of any time there's a judgment where someone's property taxes are reduced. So school district's perspective, they're like, well, this part for the library's part isn't a thing. So then why, imagine if I was a school district, I might ask myself, why am I giving the library a proportionate share of these pilot funds? No one who was involved except for me, and I was lightly involved, is involved at the Bethlehem IDA, at the Bethlehem School District. Nobody was there to remember why that original agreement really came about, was because they didn't want the library gumming up those negotiations. Because mostly at pilots, it's the two parties that are getting some money from pilot agreement, Town of Bethlehem and the Bethlehem School District. Those are the two large organizations that are negotiating those pilot funds. And the library is like a tiny addition that comes in from the side. Because the money was so big, because it was eventually going to be more than $200,000, our share of the pilot. The chair of the Bethlehem IDA was like, the library needs to be cut in on this. This agreement is going to last for 23 years. That agreement has come to an end. They are on a 1-year extender, and it is still unclear about whether that is going to be extended into the future. Will there be a new pilot agreement with this PSEG power plant that has a new name? Will there be a new long-term agreement? Or will that go on the tax rolls? How will that impact our tax levy? Unclear at this point because it's up to the Bethlehem IDA to negotiate.
The important point is that they have agreed to make us whole for the current library financial year, the library financial year that started on July 1. So there's how much in the pilot money this year?
It's 250. No, it's not
250,
250, it's 200. Right.
So
And almost all the pilot funds are this one big pilot number. The rest of the pilots are $600, $300, and these tiny little ones for SEFQ or some of the things over in the tech part. It's really not material. Now, if there was another big something, that would be different.
So $235,000, certainly not catastrophic to our budget, but certainly also money that we would like to keep in our budget. So two issues there really that we want to keep. We want to maintain those funds flowing into our budget, but also that we have a right to be at the table to negotiate for this money as a public entity. So, but so we'll go back to Bob Schofield has offered to, no, I'm just gonna give it over to Jeff.
So the Bob Schofield thing is we're gonna go with separate things. So
Okay,
just
I
gonna
just
say-
didn't.
I know, we're just gonna say, so that's where we are. I just wanna to bring everybody up to date. Again, there's no action required on this. There's really no action that can be required. We can't do anything. My proposal is that we reach out with the assistance of an attorney. might be, to the Bethlehem IDA to reestablish our seat and the knowledge of everybody involved, because the libraries, it's not that people are being dastardly, it's that we get forgotten a lot. So we want to reestablish that relationship and make sure that they understand that we are in fact entitled to a portion of those funds, whatever they are. And so as future pilot funds are renegotiated, make sure that the library is included.
And again, this doesn't affect us for this fiscal year.
Correct.
It won't be until the next fiscal year. We need to have something in place. Assuming that if the IDA negotiates a new pilot rate, we need to be active.
So
I make a motion that we work with the IDA as a local miscellaneous government to negotiate portion of a pilot that might be
that might
a
be
potential future pilot. Pilot
Potential.
agreement. That's not right.
Well, so but I think to tag that onto that is that I think that's where we're headed. But we, because there's lots of laws, regulations, negotiations here, we as board members or Jeff as library director are not the best individuals to do that.
I
So
amended to say we hire a lawyer to negotiate on our behalf.
we have a lawyer who would like to negotiate on our behalf. Jeff, do you want to, is it time now?
Do you want me to?
Have I made good?
well, okay, so I don't really know. So anyway, let's just put that. Just put this.
Scratch.
There's really nothing to do. There's no motion to do. It's just
It's very wet into the bullets.
I'm sorry. I'm not, it's just that.
Thank you, Jen.
This is to make everyone aware of what the situation is with the pilot. And that we need to consider how we move forward.
Correct. I just want to clarify, I have not talked to any attorney about this specific situation with pilots. I just don't want to misrepresent. So that's why I keep being careful about that. So this is information. What I'm looking for is sort of your agreement that I should be reaching out to the Bethlehem IDA and working with them.
Yes, please.
To reestablish our potential as a miscellaneous government entity and make sure that they are aware, because they may not be aware. We haven't been at the table for 22 years because the school district has been negotiating on our behalf. They need to be made aware of our legal status as well. So there's just a lot of complete pieces. There's a lot of people that need to be informed about this, so that everybody knows that the library has.
Yeah, I would just ask that you do that both verbally and in writing, so there's a clear record of everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. 100%. I think we only probably mostly in writing, at least at first, primarily by writing.
Okay.
I just don't want to, I don't want to reach out as Jeff myself and say the wrong thing or make sure that I'm not on firmly.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, Jeff, would you like to speak about the attorney retainer?
I would.
On the next one?
I have had a returning teacher, so Bob Schofield from Whiteman Osterman Canada, who we are authorized to work with, and we have a contract with for capital projects. He was our attorney that represented us as part of the seeker process, if you remember that, for our last building project, and will be representing us under the terms of that contract for our boiler project. So we'll be working with Bob Schofield on that. I've clarified that our existing contract works on that. He has also offered to represent us on general library matters. So moved to become a general matters attorney counsel for the library. I had a letter from him, conversation with at the agenda meeting about that proposal. Unfortunately, Bob Schofield was on vacation last week. He did answer my emails back and forth a little bit, but I do not have an updated proposal, which is why there's nothing in this right now. We just wanted to clarify that complicating factor with that particular attorney is that he has in the past is still an authorized attorney for the Bethlehem School District, is no longer their general counsel. So he is not the school district general counsel, and said we should really, because I keep having questions for him. And he's like, this has nothing to do with a building project. We need to have a retainer agreement so that we can get some of these questions answered. And I have that. Unfortunately, I do not have to put that in front of you tonight, so we may well be doing that at the August board meeting, and then immediately rolling into a seeker process, for the.
So would the pilot negotiations, would that fall under library general
I-
representation?
Absolutely, and again, that Carolyn, you mentioned before, my personal knowledge is that he was the library's general counsel, the Albany Public Library's general counsel, when they were extremely successful in negotiating, getting Albany Public Library a bunch of new pilot agreements with entities that had been granted tax breaks in the city. So again, bringing the Albany IDA or whoever their IDA is in Albany, up to the knowledge that the library is entitled to these as well as the response.
And am I correct that if you were to engage in things that involve the school district and the library,
Yes,
and that were to come into conflict, that there are ways of resolving that conflict, including working with an attorney recommending another attorney to resolve that particular issue?
claim, but when I asked that question to him, he said, in the highly unlikely event that there will be a conflict of interest between the library and the school district, that there is a methodology to do that. Getting that into the proposal specifically is why we do not have. But yes, absolutely a way to mitigate that. But again, because he's not the general counsel for the school district, that opens us up to a lot less conflict. And anything to do with a pilot, of course, the school district isn't our adversary. We're negotiating with Bethlehem IDA, so it's really a relationship.
Well, the percentage of how much they give us could be adversarial.
All fighting for a piece of the same.
Correct.
Right.
So really a point of discussion right now, no
Yeah.
vote necessary, and I suspect we'll have more information next month, and you and I should go on the road, see how we play off. Okay, next item on the agenda is the fish tank. Jeff,
Fish tank
tell
update,
us about the
okay,
fish tank.
fish tank. We had agreed I was gonna take the $1,500 from Assemblyman Scott Bendet and the $6,000 from the Friends of the Library for the $8,500 that it was gonna cost in total for us to install a new fish tank, with a bunch of new fish, 175 gallons, big fish tank over in the children's room, a nice, speaking of gets for the public, like a really good get. Kids love our small fish tank, and I think they would really love it. The day after the Friends board meeting, when they authorized that money, and I almost didn't get it out of my mouth before the Friends said, yes, we want to sponsor that. A gentleman who is a current and former bigger employee at Dave's Glass came in and said, hey, I've got a 200-gallon fish tank. Would you guys like this? To which I said, I think the answer is yes. Unclear right now, the fish tank, we have pictures of the fish tank, the base, maybe that's what we have to talk about, so what the base looks like, and the lid for the fish tank. In any case, he is on vacation last week and is coming back just now, so Kevin and I are talking to him about that. But if he donates it to the library, his request was, and this is where we end up at the board, he would like to put a donated by Dave's Glass little sign on the fish tank. And because it's larger than the things that I'm used to placking, which are usually in the hundreds to maybe $1,000, this is a larger thing. It goes back to the gifts and donations policy for the board, and I need a little guidance from you on whether that's something you want. So what I've got is tell this guy, hey, thank you so much, wonderful offer. We're not interested in pursuing a plaque on that. We have funds for it from the Friends and the Assemblyman's a member item. Or we can work to have everybody have a little piece of this. Probably the Friends maybe a vase or a cap and then fish and interior, whatever goes in the fish tank. Is that something you wish me to pursue?
So your question really is should we pursue the donation of the fish tank, understanding that this gentleman would like a donation plaque on it?
Yes.
And my question to that is, when we receive in-kind donations such as books or other items, do we usually put, I think in the books, we usually put a little sticker
When
that
people
says.
donate money for books, we put a plate in.
Okay.
We don't usually-
What other kind of in-kind donations we receive?
Happens essentially never, right? This is why it's a little bit of an unusual service.
My question would be is what would be the downside of, I mean, it strengthens a relationship with somebody who loves the library. It reminds people that you can give stuff to the library. Is the downside just paperwork and an extra vote? Or is there more complicated?
None of that,
conversation?
actually, from my perception of what a downside could be, and from the discussions we had when we were making that policy, is the plaque. Do you want a plaque that says donated by Dave's class in the library?
So I'm literally working on this. I had a meeting today. My question is, I don't know anything about this company. Do we know anything about this company? Do we vet commercial
used them.
properties? Well, I
I've used
mean,
them too.
you know, but like, before we put a plaque anywhere promoting a commercial entity, I would want to know, like, a little bit about, like, have a little bit of that.
What's your concern?
Maybe they're violating lots of, and I'm not saying this about this company at all, but just maybe they're violating lots of laws. Maybe they're, you know, have a horrible record of some kind. I don't, you know, I think we need to think about that. Like, what if you put a plaque up of an entity that actually is in conflict with the mission and values of the library? Now, theoretically, you would not have someone wanting to donate to the library that didn't support, you know, didn't share the values, but you know, it looks like we're promoting the company too, and that's like, as a government entity, it gets a little sticky.
So I think the extremely hyperbolic example that we have used in the past. Understanding that Dave's Glass, we know nothing about Dave's Glass, we know nothing bad about Dave's Glass, we're not saying that. But 30 years ago, if Jeffrey Epstein came to your library and said, I would like to give you $30 million to build a children's section, you would have said yes, and you would have named it the Jeffrey Epstein Children's Section. And right now you would regret that decision. So I think that, and that was part of the conversation that we had related to our gifts policy earlier this year is that, and it was during a time where it was very much in the news that similar situations where there was a plaque with someone's name, and while in the moment it seemed fine, it now created a values conflict that was difficult to reconcile. So I think that's the conversation, is how do we feel in general about, and there's gradations of this, right? There's how do we feel in general about it, but then there's also naming a room or naming a wing after yourself versus a fish tank, and do we view those two things differently? Whereas you can't remove the children's section, but we could theoretically, if there was ever a problem with X company donating a fish tank or a smaller item, that item could be
Swap it out, right?
Yeah.
As long as we have that's why I think it's
We go
important
back
that
to
the
Dave's Glass
policy
to
that
make it
says that we can remove it for any reason at any time.
Yes, I just want to say, Dave's Glass, we appreciate your generosity, your offer of generosity. This is all a hypothetical conversation.
But I would like to point out that I have done business with Dave's Glass. They are a small local company that have been part of this community for decades upon decades. And just the fact that we immediately went to the negative, I feel like that could have been maybe done a little differently. I think it's wonderful that they want to contribute this to the library. The children would love it. It's already in our policy that should something negative come up in the future, we can remove the name. It's not such a large item that it affects like any kind of building project or parts of the building or moving bricks or anything like that. I would very much be in favor of putting their name on the fish tank.
And the friends, and whoever else,
And friends, yeah.
yeah.
I think it's a
I-
partnership between Dave Glass and the Friends. That's, you know, for the whole new fish tank, right? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know all the pieces of the fish tank yet, so that's where I don't have all the information right now.
Right.
I appreciate the conversation.
And to be clear, it's about the broader you know, just
The what
precedents
ifs,
and
yes, the what ifs.
that's all, because you open. Right, but I,
But
you know,
you
I
weren't-
might,
You weren't worried about controversy when you wanted to change the Columbus Day to Indigenous people.
no, I'm
But
not worried
here-
about that at all.
But here, it's the same,
Right.
same idea of, oh, there might be controversy over this, so we shouldn't do it.
That's not, I did not say that at all. I did not say that. I said, is there any kind of vetting that occurs to ensure that the company is not violating any laws? That they are, not this particular company, I'm speaking broadly and generally. And making sure that there's, you know, nothing that's going to reflect poorly and come back to the library. That's the concern. It's protecting the library from any kind of risk that, because now every time someone brings their child to a particular spot in the library, it's gonna say that. So it's the broader implication, that's all. I did not say I was opposed to this. I just want to make sure we're having a conversation and we're thinking about the precedent and what do we want to know about anything, an entity before you say, sure, we'll take it, that's all. What are the steps that we would do just to make sure that we're being thoughtful and that we're protecting the library from any kind of risk? That's all.
So the donation policy says the Board of Trustee reserves the right to terminate or alter a name designation for any reason. Should the name designation be terminated, the Board of Trustees and the library will have no further obligation or liability to the donor and shall not be required to return any portion of that gift that's already been paid. In such cases, the Board of Trustees may choose an alternative recognition for the portion of the gift that has been received in sole discretion. So here's my other scenario. What happens if he gives us this fish tank and it has a crack he didn't know about it and it falls apart, right? Well, so, you know, then we say thank you very much and we don't have any designation. There's all sorts of things. So we have kind of protected ourselves
That's a name
from
designation.
what you're
That's
saying.
not the
But
same
that's
as
what
a
they're
marker,
asking.
like a
That's the
glass.
same thing.
Well, it's not
The
like
state-
the Dave's glass fish tank.
I think there's two different questions there. I think, Gail, that you have identified the solution. That should we have a name that later we determine is not something that represents the library, we in our policies have the solution. I think what Laura is asking is what steps are we putting in place so that we don't have to get to that? Is what are the initial steps that we're putting in place and doesn't have to be significant, but what are we putting in place so that we don't, a month after something comes in, discover, and obviously there are unforeseen circumstances, but that we don't discover something that was knowable that then reflects poorly. So that process is not in the library, but I think to your question, it is not in the policy, but the solution problem is. But then
just
I
wanted
think,
to look at the policy to actually see what it's.
no, and that's exactly what we should do, but I think, Laura, your question is a good one, it just needs a little bit more specificity.
Yeah.
As to what would we want the process to be and what would be concerning, I think is another question, and obviously what would be concerning would have to be objective in some way, it could not be based on perception or cannot, but it could also not be based on anyone's personal beliefs or political beliefs, things like that. So I think we have to refine the question a little bit.
I think we should accept this donation because three of us know this company and use this company. And we think I think it's a small local company and we need to trust. But if you want to look at what we're saying as we move forward, I'm happy to have that on the agenda for things to discuss. As we move.
I basically agree. I mean, I feel like if many people know this company, okay, fine in this instance, but I think there should be some kind of policy as we move forward that like if other people are wanting to donate things, we see what their Better Business Bureau rating is or whatever it is, just something to at least something. And have it written so that it's clear. I also guess I have a question. It's maybe a smaller point, but like, I'm assuming we're gonna have a little gold plaque that says, donated by Dave's Glass. Maybe he's assuming there's gonna be a 10-foot by 10-foot sign on one side of it saying like, this is our number if you need anything, you know what I mean? So I think there needs to be some clarity about what that part of it looks like too. Like we're happy to recognize your donation and it's gonna be on a 2-inch by 2-inch gold plaque or whatever.
So I think what we can do, maybe I can get to consensus on this by, we'll put together a written donor agreement that specifies exactly what the policy says, that we have the right, just spell that right out, talk specifically about the size of the plaque. I'm imagining a plaque is similar to all the size of every other plaque that we have running in this library, limited to that size. And
Well, I know when we spoke about it at the agenda meeting, I thought we had talked about something very small at the tiny time.
we go on the base, is what I'm imagining.
Another option is to ask the friends to accept the donation and combine it with whatever they're doing, so that it's not a donation that comes through.
And what is the monetary worth of the fish tank?
Well, a new one that's a little bit smaller than the 200-gallon one that's being proposed to be donated, as we were looking at 175 gallons. Total package, including fish and all that stuff, was $8,500. Surprised me about how expensive that was, but that was our price we could get. So.
But just the tank, right? Because we're talking about populating it ourselves with fish
Right,
and the
so-
stand and so what is
I don't-
Dave's Glass actually, you don't know.
I wouldn't want to say, several, 4,000-ish dollars, right? Got any idea?
For just the
The
tank,
the glassy part?
probably 2,000.
Something like that.
2,000 to 3,000 just for the tank. And then you get into the expense of the cabinet. My husband just bought a 75-gallon, that's how we've been through this whole thing. So yeah, it just, the tank itself, transporting it is the biggest thing. That's included in the cost because you've got this ginormous piece of glass on 6 sides, 8 sides.
Maybe glass company, so
Yeah,
that's part of what's.
and then your cabinet is gonna be, depending on what kind of cabinet, what kind of wood it is.
Right,
what
I
the
was
finish
just wondering.
is,
Yeah,
there's lots of things
Feels
that
like-
go into it.
It was a kind of
2 to
thought
3.
that they had. They
Yeah,
saw
absolutely.
a fish tank and they thought, I wonder if the
And-
library would use this rather than town hall or the school
Right.
or
And
whatever
bizarrely
they call
timed,
it.
just amazing timing, because I was literally gonna order the tank the next one. So it just kind of came in right before we would have been committed to it.
So despite all of the discussion, to your point, Michelle, I don't want 2 things to be lost here. One, we appreciate the generosity of the community and them thinking of the library. And 2, that I think the kids are gonna be really, really excited about the addition of the fish tank. I know that some of us had mentioned the possibility of it to people, and they were very, on behalf of the children in their lives, they were very excited. Wanted to know if they could tell them and that there would be new fish. So new and bigger fish to count and color code and all of those things. So we are looking forward to that. Okay, so we will move forward with that next.
So before we get any further, do release our friends, and you're welcome to hang out all evening long. I just want to make sure you're not feeling obligated to be, so, okay.
Yes, thank you guys, we really appreciate it. Any other new business for executive?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thanks,
welcome, I
guys.
appreciate it. Didn't need it in here tonight.
Okay, hearing none, moving on to old business, trustee training. Jack, do you have any updates?
I do, so I just today have signed up us for a group viewing of the ALA United for Libraries Virtual Trustee Training Conference Day, which itself, the day, you don't have to know the day, because we're not gonna do it on the day. The day is Tuesday, July 29th. So I've signed us up for that under my personal ALA membership, so we purchased a group rate for that. I'm gonna call it $130 for that, but it's available to us on demand. So we can, once we have it, which we will, now it is available to us. And the last time we talked about trustee training, you said we'd like to be together in a room, and that's what I paid for it. It can't be you watch it and you watch it and you watch it all separately. It's one group viewing for everybody. It's a long process. We can pick what of those sessions we want to watch, and then pick out a day and watch it on that given day. So I just went ahead and did that. Because even if, I'm gonna watch it anyway, so even if we don't do anything else, I'm gonna watch it. So,
For the benefit of our newest trustee, can you remind us of the trustee training obligation?
yes, so every year trustees are required to have 2 years, 2 contact hours of training every year by the New York State, under the New York State Library standards. So just trying to make sure, because now we're already halfway through the year, and I want to make sure that I'm helping all of you meet that obligation in as painless a way as possible. And what was expressed that really we got a lot more together, doing that stuff. And the ALA sessions are really good. And there were a couple that were really, really nice. One was specifically about open meetings law, if we want to watch that. So we can pick and choose which of the sessions we want to act.
That's what I did last year. It's a great training.
I remember you talking about it, Gail, which is why I just jumped on it because the price was gonna go up as of Thursday, so I just did.
And I want food. I want to be clear, if we're gonna be together here watching anything to like focus,
Yeah.
I need food to focus.
I got you, heard.
Is that another possible bullet point for the doc?
Yes, I just made that note.
So that's all, nothing to do, just. FYI.
Okay, building committee update, since we have a new smaller building committee, and I think that we have addressed building issues throughout the meeting. Like, no update, does anyone have any building related issues to raise? Hearing none. Board engagement, this goes back to our question about how the board, outside of the public participation at meetings where individuals can publicly participate and comment, but it is generally not a time for back and forth debate with the board. We are looking for opportunities for the board members to engage members of the public, or for members of the public to have the opportunity to engage board members and ask questions one-on-one and have more of a conversational aspect. I anticipate that would largely, that those ideas and bringing those to the board would largely fall to the newly formed communications committee. But if anyone has anything to bring forth here, please go ahead.
Just a question about the trustee hours. Did not work well.
So we have discussed them, so we had them, and we all thought they were a great idea, and everyone did them. We found minimal engagement from the public. And the question is that the most effective way that we can reach the public? So we're kind of at a place where we have tried that, and we are looking for new ideas and to try new things to bring the members of the public to us for conversation. So one of the many reasons for the communications committee.
So, did we decide to do the survey at the last?
No. The survey is prepped. I have it, like technologically speaking, it exists. And the language can be tweaked, number of questions can be tweaked, the mechanism to do it is ready to go and it exists. But no, the board haven't decided to do that.
For your benefit, there was discussion about putting out a survey to the public to ask how they want to be engaged.
Yes.
The conversation, though, is that surveys only give us so much information because certain people are more inclined to answer surveys. But on the flip side, we only have so much to go on, so why not try a survey in the idea on the premise that we will get some information and we might even get some very useful new ideas about how to engage the public.
I thought the minutes from the last meeting said we authorized a survey.
I think Kristen was just going on vacation, so it wasn't gonna happen.
Oh, sorry, disembodied voice again. It was actually approved and I think part of it just we didn't move forward because of the family stuff that I had going on, but it, like Jeff said, it exists. We can tweak the questions. So yes, that's what I know.
Thanks. So I think the next step is to bring the actual survey to the board for review and comment. Is that right?
Do we need to?
Do we could just launch it. What does everyone, this doesn't require.
It was like 2 questions, right? Or 2, 3, didn't you send it by, I'm sorry, did she send? I thought so.
I think the questions went out to the full board. I can send it out again. It's ready to go. We could put it in an e-news at any time that you guys would want.
My apologies. So Kristen, if anyone wants to take a look, just review what Kristen sent out. We will find that and recirculate it to the group. And Okay.
Really testing my memory limits tonight.
Me too. Sorry, my apologies.
It's okay.
Any other old business? Any future business? Is there any public participation? Jeff, do we have anything online? Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Michelle, second. All those in favor? Thank you.